Happy 1st of September. It is Friday. It's time for the top 5 news stories of the whole entire week from GameSpot AU HQ. Lots of abbreviations.
There were lots of abbreviations.
Lots of stories too.
Lots of stories. If you've missed any of our news episodes this week, you can go back and watch them. Or, you could just stick with us for the next 5, 6, 7 minutes. How long is it going to be? We don't know yet because we don't script this episode. Let us know what you think down in that comment section. I will ask you to do that again at the end. But for now, here's what we cared about this week.
Oh boy. This one's a bit of a local story, but I think it's got some worldwide flavour. South Park: The Fractured But Whole has been rated R18 in Australia, which means it's made it through our censors with no cuts, and that's kind of a significant thing.
It's kind of shocking.
It's a super big deal. I mean, when you consider, 2013's The Stick of Truth was heavily edited. There were some anal probing scenes, among others, that didn't make it through, and they had a funny little, censorship image with a crying koala. So there's not going to be any of that this time. That was 100% uncut, 100% uncensored, which is really interesting, and there's it'll be interesting to see what content the whole game actually has and how edgy and questionable it might be.
Yeah, because from what we've seen so far from the trailers and stuff, it looks like it's going to strike much of the same tone as the first game. So it makes me wonder why the first one couldn't get through under an R18 rating.
That's obviously a very Australia-specific weird problem.
Yeah.
Recently, Outlast 2 obviously got hit with the censor ban hammer, and then, there was the question over changing little bits and pieces so it would come through and it could be released. We spoke to the devs of South Park: The Fractured But Whole at E3, and they implied nothing's been toned back. They didn't feel like they had to cut anything, so it must be something on our end, but I'm glad we're getting the full game this time around.
So a bit of a history lesson for those of you that don't know. Australia's had a really weird relationship with video games and classification. Until about 5 years ago, we only had an MA15 plus rating, was the highest you could get a game rated in Australia. So anything that was classed not appropriate for a 15-year-old was banned, basically. You couldn't get it. The only way to get it was via importing, and then that was still sort of a bit of an illegal thing to do. You weren't supposed to have it. Stuff like Manhunt got banned here, stuff like GTA 3, GTA Vice City got banned, and then they were edited until they could come here. So it's interesting to see this one get through. The Stick of Truth obviously didn't get through under an R18, and now Fractured But Whole has. So it's going to be interesting to see the differences and if there are any actual differences. But games can still be banned for things like sexual violence and stuff like that, which is what happened to Outlast 2. So, yeah.
Mostly I'm just looking forward to more South Park stories that we do on news, and these guys say phrases that I then have to wonder whether or not I'm going to bleep. So let's see what happens in the edit. You guys might not know this, but people can be jerks.
Wait a minute. People can be jerks?
In real life.
I can be a jerk right now.
And on the internet.
Simpsons joke, we stole that.
My gosh. Anyway, so this has become a problem in a lot of video games. Right now we're specifically talking about Overwatch, and they're addressing it.
Yeah, so game director Jeff Kaplan wrote in a forum post this week that they are taking a number of steps to combat and try to make it a better, more wholesome environment. It's never going to be 100% great. It's just the nature of an online game, but they have short-term goals, medium-term goals, and long-term goals, and one of those is giving players more feedback about when you report someone to get an email back saying action has been taken, so you feel like the system is working.
Cool.
Yeah.
They're also going to be increasing the length of suspensions, so that will hopefully incentivize players to not be jerks if they know that suspensions could be longer, and they're also going to implement lifetime bans for repeat offenders.
Oh, wow.
So they're really trying to crack down on that more, and another angle to it too is that they are thinking about putting in systems such that rewards players for actually, having good behavior, which is not something you always see. So, there are two sides to take to it, and Kaplan spoke very frankly about it.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
What I like about Overwatch, they're very upfront and tell you everything that's happening, just like how they brought lots of changes this week to a bunch of characters. So Roadhog now, he can heal while moving to get him into the action and make him even harder to kill.
Lethal.
My God, my favorite Junkrat, and now has 2 concussion mines, so I'm going to be jumping around those maps, raining death from above.
So don't
all
play
the
with
time.
Dan.
Never play against me, because I'm super annoying. Orisa has had her shield changed, so now the shape of her shield, it covers from below as well now. So that's really handy. And to go with the new deathmatch mode and French set Chateau map, Widowmaker has had some changes. She can now grapple hook a lot more often, and her poison mine will mark enemies and she can see them through walls. So that's all pretty cool stuff, and you should really check out Overwatch Deathmatch. It's pretty fun.
Cool. If you're a Destiny veteran and you're hoping that you get some kind of reward for having played the first game in Destiny 2, You're going to.
Oh, sweet, what?
Man, that story was fast. We don't know yet.
Oh.
It'll be something.
It's gonna be something.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
Luke Smith said in a video this week that, you know, if you played the first game and coming back for the sequel, you're going to get something. So we all played the first game, so we're gonna go back and we're gonna find out what it is.
I
That's
assume
right.
it's going to be an emblem.
It has to be.
It's going to be something cosmetic.
I mean, that's enough of what we don't know. What we do know, or at least think we know, Kotaku has reported the DLC details for the first DLC pack that Destiny 2 is going to have dropped, apparently. So if you don't want to know anything, we are going to be talking about it for the next 20, 30 seconds. It's called the Curse of Osiris. So basically it revolves around, you may remember, the warlock Osiris. Mess with the darkness, get the horns.
That's sure.
Yeah.
He loves Mercury though.
Loves Mercury.
Can't get enough of that place.
So basically, it sounds like the story details are going to be you need to save him from the Vex. But there's more than that.
There's going to be a new social space at the Lighthouse on Mercury where
Yeah.
you could only get to if you're successful in the Trials of Osiris in Destiny 1. So that's pretty interesting. I never got to the Lighthouse because I am terrible at PvP.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to actually see what Mercury looks like. I hear it's very nice this time of year.
Well, you'll be able to because not only can you go to Lighthouse, you can then go down to the planet itself, and you'll be able to do like missions and quests down there and stuff like that.
Ooh.
So it sounds like that area is going to be way more active this time around. We don't know yet if there's going to be a raid, how much it's going to cost, when this DLC is going to come along. What we do know is their whole strategy is that they want to provide more content more often than they did with Destiny 1. So I reckon we can expect it kind of soon.
Definitely. I mean, when you think about one of the learnings Activision and Bungie talked about was that they just didn't release content fast enough.
Yeah.
And so for the sequel, they're bringing in, you know, outside studios like Neversoft and High Moon to, you know, assist with Bungie in that. So that distributed development style is going to be a little bit different this time around, but it should lead to more content faster.
And
Yeah.
obviously, Destiny 2 is out next week, so make sure you're subscribed because we're going to be just smashing out videos about Destiny 2. Everything you'll need to know will be right here on GameSpot, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of that.
Yeah. This little buddy is discontinued.
It's not a little buddy, it's really heavy. I'm going to put it down. So Microsoft have officially stopped manufacturing the original Xbox One.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was the launch model that came out in 2013, you know, heavily criticized. You know, it had, every unit came with a Kinect, which made the price more expensive relative to PlayStation 4, so it did not get off to the start that Microsoft would have wanted. They eventually, you know, removed the Kinect requirement and then offered, more recently, the Xbox One S, which is smaller, has an internal power supply, HDR, 4K. It seems like things are back on track.
Yeah, that internal power supply is such a huge thing for Xbox because no Xbox before the Xbox One S had an internal power supply. Always had that gigantic goddamn power brick.
Yeah.
It's also worth noting too that, you know, this is just a natural part of the life cycle. I mean, obviously they are going to discontinue the original models as they focus on newer things. And speaking of newer things, the Xbox One X comes out in November, so you know there are already 2 consoles, so supporting 3 in that way was probably something that they were never going to do anyway.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Although, can I say, my original fat PS3 still works. Never replaced it, never bought a skinny one. It's fine.
God damn it. It's obviously still almost impossible to get your hands on a Nintendo Switch in some parts of the world.
Here it's okay, so it's hard for me to kind of fathom that. But yeah, apparently in the US it is still really hard to pick one up, which is great for Nintendo, but not good for people who want to get their hands on a Switch.
Absolutely, but good news.
We heard this week that Nintendo is going to be ramping up production. It remains to be seen, you know, specific units and everything, but a spokesperson for the company told the Wall Street Journal that they are trying to do everything they can to meet the demand coming into this holiday season. Obviously, very, very busy time for shopping, and the worst thing that could happen would, you know, to be completely sold out and not being able to get one underneath the tree or however you celebrate. So there was a specific number shown in there that said 18 million units that they were going to produce. But
Oh my God.
whether or not that is for this specific season or the current fiscal year remains to be seen. But clearly they are doing more to get more consoles into stores.
And obviously, with those new consoles that are coming out, a whole bunch of new games were just announced coming to Switch.
Yeah, this week's been really intense. They've told us all about their Nindies, their Nintendo indie games that they seem to be going really hard on. Just today, which is, well, yesterday for you guys watching this on Friday, there was the announcement that Oxenfree is coming, which is one of the best indie games in recent years, in my opinion. That's going to be great. No More Heroes, brand new No More Heroes is coming to the system.
cannot wait for more No More Heroes. I love No More Heroes.
Yeah.
We also heard about a new Super Meat Boy game coming out, Super Meat Boy Forever, and the really cool thing about that is it's going to be first on Switch, which is really big because obviously those games came out on Xbox 360 back in the day.
What else is really exciting is these are only the tip of the iceberg. There's 17 indie titles that they announced this week, and that appears to just be the start of everything that they're going to be rolling out. So, you know, Nintendo has no games, probably proving to be less true for this Switch, which is great. It's nice to see it pull back up towards what we've been seeing from Sony and Microsoft for years. But that's really great. So if you haven't got a Switch yet, have something to play on it.
And not to forget, Super Mario Odyssey's out in October.
Okay, that's the last story. Eddie, do the outro.
Go.
That's going to be great. No More Heroes, brand new No More Heroes is coming to the system.
Cannot wait for more No More Heroes. I love No More Heroes.
Yeah.
We also learned about a new Travis Touchdown game, so No More Heroes.
That is No More
Shit.
Heroes.
I was trying to say Super Meat Boy.
Okay.
I was trying to say Super Meat Boy.
Go from